All right, so I am starting a sketch from start to finish. And today I was wearing a Papa Smurf t-shirt, so I'll say, hey, what the heck? How about we draw some Smurfs? This is a cartoon that I thoroughly enjoyed back in the 80s, and I say, why not? Let me attempt to draw the Smurfs for the first time. So here we go. So now we are doing the scratch work on Sketchbook Pro Autodesk. And we're going to make some mistakes along the way, and that's okay because this is what scratch work is for. And as you can see, I am sketching out the body, and of course, in the middle, I'm going to have Papa Smurf, but on his right side, I am going to have Brainy, and on his left, I'm going to have Smurfette. So as you can see now, already making a little bit of mistakes with Brainy, but like I said, this is scratch work. So had to adjust it a little bit, so had to smooth that out a little bit. But now I am just working on Brainy real quick. I'm gonna just draw him first. So now that I took my sketch and gotten a little bit closer, I am now going to concentrate on Brainy. Gonna make some work on his hat here. And so, fun fact, Brainy is, in a sense, actually second behind Papa Smurf, especially with his intellect and also his ability to do magic. Now, he's not as good as Papa Smurf, but of course, he is trying to be the next Papa Smurf and try to be responsible. But he also comes off as a know-it-all, and nobody likes a know-it-all. But Brainy is actually one of my favorite characters on the show because he can be quite annoying, but he's definitely a comic relief on the show. So Papa Smurf, obviously the oldest and wisest of all the Smurfs. He is pretty much the father figure of Smurf Village and the protector of the Smurfs against Gargamel. So, as you can see, I made another mistake, which is okay. But now, as I'm working on the eyes, I made my adjustments, and I'm adding a smile now, and gotta handle that belt line. And I'm working on his arm, and now I am on to Smurfette. And surprisingly, Smurfette is actually probably one of the easiest characters to design on this particular image. And very bright and bubbly in personality on the show. The only female character on the show until Sassette showed up later on, and she's a redhead Smurf. But fun fact, Smurfette was not an original Smurf of the Smurf Village. She was actually a character that was created by Gargamel. And Gargamel created her to infiltrate Smurf Village, and somehow, some way, Papa Smurf was able to change her and make her a good Smurf. She originally had black hair, and it was looking kind of witchy looking, but Papa Smurf was actually able to help her out. So now we are going to the line work. And on majority of my pictures, as you can see, I always like to do my outline first before I do the inner line work. And so I am really having fun with this picture because, it's simple. I do like challenging stuff, but every now and then I want to do a fun cartoon design. And this is, like I said, one of my favorite cartoons to watch when I was little. And it's pretty cool. Pretty cool dealing with the line work here. And I want to make the glassics particularly thicker than the actual sketch because it is going to help me, you know, make Brainy look more distinguished here. And now I'm working on his arms here. He's got his arms crossed, thinking that he's a big boss. He always tries to tell people what to do on the show, which again makes enemies out of a lot of the Smurfs because they don't like that type of attitude. But again, Brainy is one of my favorite characters. I have to give it to him. You got to have characters like that to balance out the show. But I am continuing my line work here and just, having fun with this picture. And as you can see, when I'm making these lines, it look kind of scraggly at first, but then it automatically straightens itself out. And in previous videos, I have explained the reason why that happens, because I am using a stabilizer tool. Now, the stabilizer tool on Autodesk Sketchbook, it looks like a squiggly line, and you have settings between 1 through 4. In this particular picture, I am using level 3. Level 3 always gives me the satisfaction that I want with my pictures. And now I just hopped off from Smurfette for a second, and I'm just finishing the inner workings of Papa Smurf. And as you can see, I am struggling with his belly and his belt line because the line just does not want to come out the way I want it to come out. And that is the one downside to using the stabilizer tool, because the stabilizer tool thinks it's outdoing you sometimes, and it wants to do what it wants to do. But you got to get control of the picture. Don't let the picture get control of you. So I'm just sitting here, just doing a little bit more line work here, working on the shoes of Smurfette. And unlike Minnie Mouse, her shoes are not as big as the rest of the Smurfs. Minnie Mouse shoes is real big. So now what I did was I had made the background transparent so I can actually color appropriately. Now I am doing the flat panel work. And as you can see, this is kind of a rush job. So I am coloring outside of the lines to a degree. And it's pretty simple because all these Smurfs are the same color, which makes my job a lot easier when it comes to doing shade and shadow and light source, because I don't have to differentiate between the colors. And as you can see, like I said before, I am coloring outside the lines, but I am going to come back and I am going to erase those, those stray coloring outside the lines here, so that way I can just do a quick cleanup of my image. And as you can see, I'm doing a quick cleanup. And there's going to be some spots that I'm going to miss, but as you can see throughout this video, when I see something, I'm going to go and I'm going to, just clean it up the best way I possibly can. Again, this is a rush job, so don't sue me. But just doing a little bit of cleanup. And I'm really having a lot of fun with this picture because it's bringing back memories. Memories of my childhood. Just doing a little bit. And I'm doing a little bit of filling in here because there are some spots that I've missed when it came to coloring, because I was using my lasso tool to get each area so I can do a mass painting here. Now, I had decided to create another layer under the flat panel layer so I don't have to have a difficult time coloring the eyes. And I'm going to use that same layer to color Smurfette's hair and her hat and her clothes and shoes, along with Brainy's hat and pants. And I am going to use a different layer, and as you can see, I I'm going to use a different layer to color Papa Smurf. So now I did my lasso tool and I am now painting his pants. And I'm just doing a little bit of cleanup so that way, even though it's going to be a different layer that's going to be covered anyway, I just want to stay on top of it. And, you know, just doing a little bit of cleanup here and there. And I also use that same layer to color Papa Smurf's beard, and also hitting up that dark inner part of the hat. So now I changed my background from transparent to back to white because I am now working on coloring Papa Smurf's hat and pants on a different layer. And as you can see, I'm playing cleanup now. And I brought back the transparent background because there's some spots that I need to cover and make sure that it looks right. And I am somewhat of a perfectionist because I want to make sure everything is good and I constantly go over stuff. And now I am doing my multiply layer, which is my shade and shadow. And I'm using, you know, just a basic slate gray here. Now, the trick is I want this to be a little bit darker. So what I do, I am going to just go ahead. I'm just going to blend it out just to see how it looks first. I'm not going to blend out everything right now, but I just want to see how it looks. And so far, I like what I see, but you never know. I might change it up a little bit later. And I had to thin out some stuff for details just to make sure it looks right. Now I am adding, it is that same Smurf berry color that I am using. Yeah, right, that's right. I said Smurf berry. Don't shoot me for the word. Anyway, I am using the same color, but it's on the multiply layer. So now it is appearing to be a little bit darker, and that's what I like about multiply layering, because I don't have to search for colors when I can use the same one, but it makes it automatically darker for me. It's the beautiful thing about digital painting. So now I'm still working on shade and shadow, and I had stopped blending for right now because I just want to make sure that I get all my shadow work and my shade work done, and just looking for the right gold to bring out the highlights and darkness of Smurfette's hair. And I got me a dark red on this cool, pimpalicious Papa Smurf. Yeah, I always liked Papa Smurf. Papa Smurf was one of my favorite characters on the show too. Always trying to bring people together in unity. So now I am now blending because I want to make this look pretty decent here, and has some shade and on the eyes and stuff. And as you can see, a lot of those colors are bleeding over, and that's why I like about layering, because even when you mess up, you can just go to that specific layer and clean it up, and it doesn't interfere with any other panel. That's why I will tell you, if you are a person who is beginning on digital illustration, always do layering. I would look it up more and investigate how to layer, and it will really help your artwork. It will really, really, really help your artwork. It is very, very appropriate to help out. So now, just doing a little bit of cleanup here, and I'm adding a little bit more smoothing out of shadowing here. Not a lot, but now I'm adding my light sources. Not a lot of light sources to add to the white because it's already bright out there. So I want to just add light sources to Papa Smurf because he's up front. And also, I would add light sources to the blue skin of the Smurfs, so that way that light would hit them just right. Now, I like this. I like this. I like how it looks so far. And I'm just blending it out a little bit just to test it out to see if I need to add a little bit more. And not as dark as I would like it, but why not? Let's just add a little bit more and see what's going on here. And I'm adding some highlights to Smurfette's hair. Doing a little bit more blending and adding more light source to elbows and fingers, just to enhance the drawing a little bit more. And now I'm adding a shadow at the bottom, and I'm going to blend it out a little bit so that way it will work to the best of its ability. And I'm going to change the opaquency just to make it a little bit lighter so that way everything will work itself out. Now right here I was trying to experiment and see about a different background, but obviously as you can see it was a bad idea, so I decided to just trash it. But make sure after you complete your artwork, sign that bad boy and you are done.